My name is Faith Thompson. I'm 34 years old. Last July, my dad stood up in front of 25 people at our family reunion and asked each of his children to share their life wins. My brother went first, VP of Engineering, 6F figure a salary. My sister followed, surgical fellow at one of the best hospitals in the country. Then my dad turned to me with that smile, the one I'd known for 16 years, and said, "Your turn, Faith. What do you have?" So I gave him one number, just one, and the table went quiet. My brother left before dessert. Before I take you back to that afternoon, if you end up liking this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy it. Also, drop a comment with where you're watching from and your local time. I always love seeing that. Now, let me take you back to a Saturday morning in June, the week before the reunion, when I almost decided not to go at all. I'm standing on a job site in Columbus when my phone buzzes. It's Dad, family reunion, he says. No, hello, no, how are you? July 19th. Your brother's flying in from Austin. Megan's driving up from Cleveland. I expect you there too. I wipe drywall dust off my forearm and lean against my truck. Okay. What time? Noon, backyard. Donna's handling the food. Donna, his wife, not my mother. My mother died 3 years ago. And Faith, he pauses. Wear something nice this time, not your work boots. I look down at my steel toes caked in concrete dust. I swallow the answer. I want to give. I'm planning something special, he adds. A little sharing round. Everyone talks about where they are in life, what they've built. My stomach drops. I know exactly what that means. It means Derek will talk about his title. Megan will talk about her fellowship. And I'll sit there while Dad waits for me to explain why I still don't have a degree. After we hang up, I sit in the cab of my truck for a long time. There's a photo of my mom tucked behind the sun visor. Linda Thompson, brown eyes, big laugh. The kind of woman who remembered every neighbor's birthday. 3 years ago, on her last night in the hospital, she grabbed my hand and said, "Don't let this family fall apart. Promise me, Faith." I promised. That promise is the only reason I'm still showing up to these things. Not for Dad, not for Derek, for her, but a sharing round in front of the whole family. That's not a reunion. That's a courtroom. And Dad's already decided who the defendant is. Let me tell you about the pattern so you understand what I'm walking back into. Thanksgiving when I was 20. Dad introduces Derek to the neighbors. "This is my son Derek, the engineer, Stanford grad." Then he turns to me, and this is Faith. She's figuring things out. I was a second-year apprentice electrician at the time. I just earned my first safety certification. He didn't ask about it. Christmas when I was 25. Derek brings Dad a $200 watch. I bring a bookshelf I built by hand. Dovetail. Joints, cherry wood, 40 hours of work. Dad puts it in the garage. I find it there 6 months later, still wrapped in the moving blanket I'd carried it in. Dad's 60th birthday. I bake his favorite German chocolate cake from Mom's recipe. Derek flies in with front row concert tickets. Dad holds up the tickets at dinner and says, "At least one of my kids knows how to treat their old man." My cake sits on the counter, half-eaten. 16 years of this. 16 Thanksgivings, Christmases, birthdays, and barbecues. Where Derek is the headline and I'm the footnote. After a while, you stop feeling hurt. You just go numb. You learn to sit in the corner seat, eat fast, and leave early. But this reunion is different. This is the first one since Mom passed. It's supposed to honor her memory. And Dad's turning it into a performance review. He isn't just going to compare us in whispers this time. He's going to make it a show, microphone and all. In front of every aunt, uncle, cousin, and neighbor who ever watched me grow up. And I already know the script. I've been reading it for 16 years. That night, I call the one person who's never made me feel like a footnote. Uncle Bill Morrison, my mom's older brother, carpenter, runs his own shop in Zanesville. Hands like leather, voice like gravel, and the only adult in my life who ever looked at my apprenticeship papers and said, "Now that's something." He's the one who got me into the trade. When I was 18, fresh out of high school with no college plans. And a father who wouldn't look at me, Bill drove down, took me to a job site and said, "You're good with your hands. Let's find out how good. Should I go?" I ask him now. "Your mama wanted you there, so you go." He pauses. "But Faith, you don't owe that man your dignity." I tell him about the sharing round. He's quiet for a moment. "You know what you've built, kid? I've seen the books. 6 units, 0 debt. That's more than most folks twice your age." He won't care. Bill, maybe not, but the numbers don't lie. Let your work speak. Then he says something that sticks. "I heard a thing about Derek, by the way. His wife posted something on Facebook about financial stress, deleted it fast. But Gary, you remember Gary? Used to work at Derek's company. Gary saw it. Said Derek got passed over for SVP twice. I sit with that for a moment. Also, Bill adds, word is the Austin house might be listed. Listed, he's selling or someone's selling it for him. I don't know what to do with that yet. It's just a rumor, but it settles into the back of my mind like a stone at the bottom of a well. Drive safe on the 19th, kid. Your mama would be proud. The night before the reunion, I sit in my truck in the driveway. Engine off, windows down, crickets going. On the passenger seat, there's a manila folder. Inside it is my quarterly financial summary from Grace Fielding, my accountant, my friend since trade school, and the only person besides Uncle Bill who knows the full picture. She updates it every quarter like clockwork. Assets, liabilities, net cash flow, total equity. I flip it open. The number at the bottom hasn't changed since last week, but tonight it feels different. Tonight it feels like armor. I close the folder and slide it back under the seat. I think about not going. I think about texting Dad some excuse. Stomach flu, emergency call out, truck broke down. He wouldn't question it. He barely expects me to show up anyway. But then I think about what happens if I don't. Dad tells everyone, Faith didn't even come. See, that's Faith. And the story continues. The footnote gets smaller. And if I do go and sit there in silence while Derek brags and Dad beams, same thing, different angle. I look at the photo of Mom on my dashboard. It's from a 4th of July, maybe 2012. She's laughing, holding a sparkler, standing in the backyard where tomorrow's reunion will be. I'm going, I say out loud. Not for him, for you. I don't bring the folder. I leave it under the seat. But the number is in my head, etched there like a license plate you've memorized without trying. $1.2 million. I pull the keys out of the ignition and go inside. I don't know yet what Dad has planned for that sharing round. If I had, I might have brought the paperwork. Saturday noon, 2-hour drive from Columbus to the old house. I pull up and park on the grass next to a line of SUVs and sedans. The house looks good. Fresh paint, new gutters, porch rail replaced. Somebody spent real money on this place. At the time, I figured Dad finally dipped into savings. The backyard is full. 25, maybe 30 people, folding tables pushed together under a rented canopy. Coolers, a Bluetooth speaker playing old country, paper plates, red cups, and a catering tray of pulled pork. I recognize most of the faces. Aunt Carol, Uncle Pete, cousins I haven't seen in 3 years. Mrs. Johnson from across the street who's known me since I was in diapers. Mr. Martinez from 2 doors down, retired. Banker always wearing a polo. And there by the back steps is a whiteboard propped on an easel in blue marker. Thompson family. Life wins round, my chest tightens. Dad sees me from the porch. He's holding a beer in one hand and a plate in the other. He walks over, doesn't hug me. Oh, you actually came. Good, hi Dad. He looks me up and down. Clean jeans, simple blouse, hair pulled back, no jewelry, no heels. Where's your friend? You seeing anyone? No, Dad. He turns back to the crowd. Donna's. Inside if you want to say hello. Donna meets me in the kitchen. She hugs me the way you hug a coworker at a company picnic. Quick, one-armed, no eye contact. There's sweet tea on the counter, she says, already walking away. I pour a glass and stand by the window, looking out at the whiteboard. Life wins round. 16 years of losing, and now there's a scoreboard. Derek arrives 40 minutes late, which is 15 minutes earlier than I expected. The Tesla pulls in slow like it wants everyone to see it. Midnight. Blue chrome wheels. The license plate frame says something about Austin Tech Life. Derek steps out. Fitted vest, designer sneakers, aviators pushed up into his hair like he just walked off a catalog shoot. His wife Kelsey follows. Oversized sunglasses, designer bag, heels on grass. Their 2 kids tumble out the back in matching Ralph Lauren polos. Dad practically jogs across the yard. There he is. He grabs Derek by the shoulders. Everyone, this is my son Derek, VP of Engineering out in Austin. We're very proud, he says, very proud. The way a man hammers a nail hard once so it sticks. Derek makes his rounds, handshakes, back slaps, a few good to see you, brother to cousins he hasn't called in years. Then he spots me by the cooler. Hey sis, still driving that old Ford? Runs fine, sure it does. He grins and moves on. I stand there holding my sweet tea and watch him work the crowd like a campaign stop. VP Derek. Golden boy Derek, the one who made it. Then I see something small. Kelsey goes to pay the caterer. The barbecue guy parked by the driveway. She hands over a card. The guy swipes it, frowns, swipes again. Kelsey's jaw tightens. She fumbles through her wallet and pulls out a different card. This one goes through. Nobody else notices, but I do. A few minutes later, Megan finds me. She wraps me in a real hug. "I'm glad you're here," she whispers. "Me too." Then Dad calls her name from across the yard and she pulls away. I should go say hi. She always should. I'm sitting in the corner chair when it happens. The moment I stop. Treating this reunion like something I just have to survive. Aunt Carol asks me what I've been up to, I say. "I run a contracting company, licensed electrical work, mostly residential." She nods slowly. "Oh, that's practical." I let it go. I've been letting things go for 16 years, then I hear it. Derek's son, Tyler, 7 years old, blonde hair, gap-toothed, tugs on Derek's sleeve near the dessert table. "Daddy, what does Aunt Faith do?" Derek doesn't even look at me. "She fixes things, buddy, like a handyman." Tyler scrunches his nose. "Oh, not a real job," Derek laughs, a short, easy laugh, the kind that says exactly. My hands go still on my lap. It's not the words. I've heard worse from Derek. It's the audience. A 7-year-old boy just learned that what I do isn't worth respecting. And he learned it from his father in front of everyone. That's the part people don't understand about patterns like this. The damage isn't just in what they say to you. It's in what they teach the next generation about you. If I sit here and smile through this reunion, Tyler grows up knowing Aunt Faith as the joke and Tyler's little sister after him. And one day they're kids. The narrative doesn't die with dessert. It gets inherited. I look across the yard at the whiteboard. Life wins round. Then I look at my dad who's clinking beers with Derek near the grill. Both of them laughing. Both of them comfortable. And for the first time today, I think maybe I didn't come here just to keep a promise. Dad taps his glass with a spoon. The crowd settles. "All right, everyone, it's time." Dad grabs the old karaoke mic from the patio shelf, the one we used at Mom's birthday parties, and taps it twice. A dull thud rolls through the speaker. "Your mother, God rest her soul, always wanted us together. So tonight, each of my kids is going to share their life wins where they are, what they've built." He lifts his beer. "Derek, you're up." Derek stands like he's been rehearsing this in the mirror. He buttons his vest, steps forward. "Well, first off, I'm proud to be a Thompson." A few claps. "I'm currently VP of engineering at a SAS company in Austin. I lead a team of 40. My compensation package is in the mid-6 figures. Aunt Carol, oh my, we just bought a boat last summer. The kids are in private school. Life is good." More clapping. Mr. Martinez nods slowly, arms folded. Dad is beaming, literally glowing like he's watching the Super Bowl and his team just scored. And most importantly, Derek says, turning to look directly at Dad, "I was able to help Mom and Dad keep this house a few years back. Family takes care of family." He sits down. Dad squeezes his shoulder. I watch from the corner. Derek said compensation package. He didn't say net worth. He didn't say savings. He said package, which includes stock options that could be underwater, bonuses that get taxed at 40%, and a salary that vanishes the moment the company restructures. I know the difference because Grace taught me most people don't. Family takes care of family. That line hangs in the air, aimed at me like a dart. Translation, Derek helped. Faith didn't. What nobody at this table knows is why. Megan goes next. She's quieter than Derek, always has been. She stands but doesn't take the mic. "I'm in my surgical fellowship at Cleveland Clinic," she says, hands clasped in front of her. "Published 2 papers this year. I'm applying for attending positions in the fall." Dad's eyes glisten. "My little girl, a surgeon." Can you believe it? The applause is warm. A few people lean over and whisper things like, "So impressive," and "Your parents must be so proud." Megan sits back down for half a second. She glances at me across the table. I see it. A quick flash of something. Guilt, sympathy, whatever it is. She swallows it fast and looks at her plate. She knows what comes next. She knows I'm the last one standing in this little talent show, and she didn't say a word to stop it. Behind me, I hear Mrs. Johnson whispering to Aunt Carol. "And what about Faith? Is she still single?" "Aunt Carol, I think she does something with wiring." I grip my cup. The plastic cacks. 25 people. That's how many are sitting in this backyard right now. 25 people who are about to watch my father put me on display like a science project that didn't place. 25 people who already think they know the answer. Dad's holding the mic again. He turns. He's smiling, but it's not warm. It's the smile of a man about to make a point. And then he says, "My name." Faith. The yard goes just a shade quieter. Forks pause, conversations trail off. "Your turn, sweetheart. Tell everyone about your wins." I don't stand up. I stay in the corner chair with my hands around my cup. I'm good, Dad, I'll pass. He chuckles. Come on, everyone else went. Don't be shy. I look at him. 16 years of practice tell me to smile, wave it off, say something harmless like just working hard, and let the conversation move on. That's the playbook. That's how I survive these things. Then Derek leans back in his chair and grins. Yeah, Faith, tell us what's new in the light switch business. A ripple of laughter. Not everyone, but enough. Enough for me to hear it. Enough for Tyler, Derek's kid, to look up from his plate and giggle. Dad jumps back in. Seriously, honey, we want to hear. What are you doing with your life? I count the faces watching me. Mr. Martinez, arms folded. Mrs. Johnson, fork halfway to her mouth. Aunt Carol leaning forward. Megan staring at the table. Uncle Bill standing by the grill, jaw set. 25 people waiting. I open my mouth, then close it. Dad tilts his head. His voice softens into that tone. The one he thinks sounds caring, but actually sounds like pity. It's okay if you don't have anything, Faith. We understand, not everyone. He doesn't finish that sentence. He doesn't have to. The implication fills the yard like the smell of charcoal. Not everyone makes it. I hear Uncle Bill's voice in my head. You don't owe that man your dignity. I hear Tyler's voice. Not a real job. I hear my mother's voice. Don't let anyone make you feel small. And somewhere under all of it, I hear my own voice. The one I've been holding back for 16 years. That's when I open my mouth. I stand up. I don't reach for the mic. You want to know my wins, Dad? He blinks. The yard stills. Fine. I keep my voice level, the same voice I use on job sites when I'm giving instructions. Clear, measured, no shaking. I own a licensed contracting company. I employ 4 people full-time. I own 6 rental properties across Franklin County, free and clear. I pause, let it land. I have 0 debt, no mortgage, no student loans, no credit card balance, nothing. Someone coughs. A glass clinks against the table somewhere. My net worth as of last quarter is $1.2 million. Silence. Not the kind of silence that happens when people are thinking. The kind that happens when the air changes pressure. Like something just cracked open and everyone felt it, but nobody knows what to say. The country music keeps playing on the Bluetooth speaker. Somewhere down the block, a kid is laughing. A dog barks twice and 25 people stare at me like I just spoke in a language they don't recognize. Dad's mouth opens, closes, opens again. What? 1.2 million. I set my cup down on the armrest. You asked. Nobody claps. Nobody says congratulations. That's how I know it's real. Because if I'd said something small, they'd have smiled and moved on. But a number like that from the daughter, they all wrote off. That doesn't get applause. That gets silence. The kind that rewrites the room. Derek's chair scrapes against the concrete. Kelsey's hand is pressed flat on the table, knuckles white. Uncle Bill takes a slow sip of his beer and says nothing. He doesn't need to. And Dad just stands there, mic in hand, with nothing to say for the first time in 16 years. I know what you might be thinking right now because I was thinking the same thing when I stood there. Why didn't I say this sooner? The truth is, I never wanted to prove anything to anyone. But sometimes people push you into a corner and the only way out is the truth. If you've ever been the one your family underestimated, the one they laughed about when you weren't in the room, hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For every person who's been where I was standing. Okay, let me tell you what happened next. Because my brother, he didn't take it well. Derek is the first to move. He stands. His chair catches on a crack in the patio and tips sideways behind him. He doesn't fix it. That's ridiculous. His voice is louder than it needs to be. There's no way. Dad turns to me, still holding the mic. Faith, is that true? Yes. Derek steps forward. Doing what? Fixing wiring. You don't even have a degree. I look at him the way I'd look at a junction box that's been wired wrong with patience and a little bit of pity. Real estate, contracting, and 16 years of not spending money I didn't have. Kelsey's eyes drop to the table. Her fingers curl around her phone under the edge of her plate, tight enough to turn the tips white. Derek shakes his head. Anyone can throw numbers around at a barbecue, Faith. That doesn't make it real. And then Uncle Bill's voice cuts through from the far end of the table. She's not lying, Derek. Derek turns. Bill is leaning against the porch rail with his arms crossed and a look on his face that says he's been waiting a long time for this. I've known that girl since the day she was born. I set her up with her first apprenticeship. I've seen what she's built. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. She's not lying. Derek's jaw flexes. He looks at Dad, then at me, then back at Dad like he's waiting for someone to take his side. But Dad's quiet. For the first time in 16 years, Ray Thompson has no script for this. Derek grabs his beer. Not everyone needs to wave their bank account around. I catch the tone in that sentence. Defensive, tight, like a man who's terrified someone's about to ask him the same question. The yard splinters into side conversations. Nobody's eating anymore. People are leaning toward each other, whispering behind cups. I sit down. Uncle Bill walks over and drops into the chair beside me. His knee pops and he doesn't flinch. You did good, kid. He's going to tell everyone I'm lying. Let him try. Bill takes a sip. I talked to Gary last month. You remember Gary? Used to work at the same company as Derek. Vaguely. Gary said Derek got passed over for SVP twice, restructuring half his team got laid off in January and he barely held on. Bill lowers his voice. In that house in Austin, it's listed. Faith has been for 3 weeks, listed like for sale, listed like the bank ran out of patience. I stare at the table. The whiteboard behind Dad's chair still reads Life Wins Round. I'm not going to use that, I say. Nobody said you have to. But when a man stands in front of his family and calls you a liar, it helps to know where his floor is. I nod. I don't want to fight Derek. I've never wanted to fight anyone. I just wanted to eat pulled pork and go home. But here we are across the yard. Derek is talking to Aunt Carol. His hands are moving fast, the way they move when he's selling something. Carol nods slowly, but her eyes drift toward me twice. Megan catches my eye from the dessert table. She mouths something I can't read, then looks away. And Dad is standing by the whiteboard, arms at his sides, beer untouched. He looks like a man whose teleprompter just went blank in the middle of a speech. I'm about to find out what he does when he has to improvise. Dad finds me near the cooler 10 minutes later. He doesn't pull me aside gently. He steers me by the elbow, the way you'd redirect a dog that wandered onto the neighbor's lawn. 4 or 5 people are close enough to hear everything, and he doesn't seem to care. I don't know what game you're playing, he says, keeping his voice low but sharp. But you embarrassed your brother in front of everyone. He embarrassed me. For 16 years, Dad. That's different. He was trying to motivate you. I stare at him. Motivate me. He told me I'd end up homeless at Christmas dinner in front of the whole family because we were worried. He sets his jaw. A father worries. A father doesn't humiliate his daughter in front of 25 people for sport. He blinks. I've never talked to him like this. Not once. Not in 16 years of swallowed sentences and early exits and 2-hour drives home in silence. He recovers fast. Too fast, your mother would be ashamed of you right now. The words land like a slap. A few heads turn. Mrs. Johnson's mouth opens slightly. Uncle Bill halfway across the yard goes perfectly still. Dad's playing his trump card, the one he always saves for the end, the dead mother card, the one that says, I speak for her now and she would agree with me. I feel the heat rise in my chest. I feel my throat tighten and my eyes sting. And every instinct I have says, walk away, apologize, smooth it over. Keep the peace. I look at the photo on my phone's lock screen. Mom at the 4th of July, sparkler in hand, laughing, and I decide, standing right there, that I am done keeping the peace at the cost of keeping myself. I don't raise my voice. Mom would not be ashamed of me. Dad's mouth twitches. Mom was proud of me every single day. She told me that on her last night. The yard goes still. 25 people and the only sound is the speaker playing Merle Haggard, Too Low to Matter. You want to know what Mom said? She said, Faith, you're the strongest one. Don't let anyone make you feel small. Dad's face shifts. Something behind the anger cracks just for a second, then it seals back up. But I'm not done. I didn't come here to brag. I came because Mom asked me to keep this family together, but I can't do that by pretending to be less than I am. I can feel Uncle Bill watching. Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Martinez. Every face in this yard is turned toward me, and for once, I don't flinch. You asked for my wins, Dad. I gave you my wins. And instead of being proud, you told me to apologize. My voice doesn't break. I've practiced this sentence in my truck for 3 years. 3 years of 2-hour drives home, saying it to the windshield, never thinking I'd say it to his face. I'm done apologizing for being good at something you don't understand. I set my cup on the table, stand straight. I'm done. Nobody speaks. Derek is frozen in his chair, hand around a beer he hasn't sipped in 5 minutes. Kelsey's eyes are red. Mr. Martinez unfolds his arms slowly like he just watched something he didn't expect. Uncle Bill rises from his seat, doesn't say a word, just stands steady as a fence post like he's making it known which side of the yard he's on. Then Megan's voice, small, tight, cuts through the quiet. Faith, wait. But I'm already turning away. I don't make it to the driveway. Behind me, Derek's voice fills the yard again. He's louder. Now standing, performing for the crowd the way he always does when he's losing ground. You know what, everyone? My sister, the one without a college degree, just told us she's worth $1 million doing electrical work. He says electrical work the way someone says magic beans. You want to know what that really means? She probably counts the value of some rundown rentals she bought for nothing. That's not real wealth. That's playing landlord. A few people shift in their chairs. Uncle Bill's jaw is tight. I stop walking but don't turn around. Real success is building something, leading teams, making decisions that move the needle, not collecting rent checks. Dad nods. Derek has a point. Then a voice I don't expect cuts through. Mrs. Johnson, 72 years old, 41 and scared of nobody. I don't know about all that, Ray, but that girl replaced my entire electrical panel last year. Did it in one day. My last electrician wanted 3 times what she charged. She folds her arms. She's honest. She shows up on time. That counts for something. A few heads nod. Mr. Martinez says quietly, 6 properties free and clear in this economy. That's not playing anything. The crowd is splitting. I can feel it without turning around. The slow crack of a room realizing the story they've been told doesn't match the person standing in front of them. Then Kelsey's phone buzzes. She glances at it and her face, the carefully maintained lipstick and sunglasses face, just falls apart. Derek, her voice is barely above a whisper. Stop. He turns. What? Just stop talking about money, please. She's shaking. Derek stares at her, then at me, then at the yard full of people who are now staring at both of them. Kelsey stands up. She doesn't look at anyone. She takes her purse off the back of the chair and walks into the house. The screen door slaps shut behind her. Nobody follows. Derek sits down slowly like a man who just realized the floor is glass. Dad clears his throat. His hand is still on Derek's shoulder, where it's been since the sharing round started, like a coach on a sideline. Let's take a breath, everyone. He pauses. Faith, I think you owe your brother an apology. I turn around now. I'm standing 10 FT from the table, facing all of them. For what? For making this about money. This was supposed to be about family. You made it about money, Dad. You set up the sharing round. You wrote it on a whiteboard. He stiffens. I set it up to celebrate your brother and sister's achievements, not for you two to brag. The word hits different when it comes from a man who just spent 15 minutes applauding his son's 6-figure salary in front of the entire neighborhood. Brag, I say. You asked me a question. I answered it. Dad steps toward me, lowers his voice, but not enough. Your mother would be ashamed of you right now. He says it again. The same card, the same weapon. Uncle Bill moves. He steps out from behind the grill, wipes his hands on a rag, and says loud enough for every person in the yard to hear. Ray, Linda told Faith she was the strongest one in this family on her last night alive. I was in the room when she said it. He pauses. So don't you dare tell that girl what her mother would think. Dad's face goes white. I've never seen anyone take the words out of his mouth before, neither has he. The yard is so quiet. I can hear the ice shifting in the cooler. I step back toward the table, not to sit, to finish. Dad, I'm going to say this once. He looks at me. His face is pale and tight, like a man who's just been told something he can't unhear. I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came because Mom asked me to keep this family together. I pause, but I can't do that by pretending I haven't built anything. You asked for my wins, I gave you my wins. You could have been proud. You chose to be angry. I hold his gaze. If you want me in this family, you treat me the same way you treat Derek. Same respect, same pride, or I'm done. He opens his mouth. I'm not finished. He closes it. I don't need your money, I don't need your approval, but I would like my father back. The one who taught me how to use a screwdriver when I was 6. That man wouldn't have done this to me. Dad's eyes drop. He stares at the ground like he's trying to find something he lost in the grass. I pick up my keys from the table. I love you, Dad, but love doesn't mean I have to sit here and be your punchline. I turn and walk toward the driveway. Uncle Bill falls in beside me. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't need to behind me. I hear Megan's chair scrape. Faith, wait, please. I stop. I look back. Megan is standing, napkin crumpled in her hand, tears on her face. I'm sorry, she says. I should have said something years ago. Yeah, I say, you should have, but I don't leave. Not yet, because Megan is crying. And I made a promise to my mother. I want to pause here for a second because what I just said to my dad, I'm done apologizing. I practiced that sentence in my truck for 3 years. 3 years. I never thought I'd actually say it out loud. If you're someone who has a sentence like that, when you've been holding back, I need you to share it in the comments. You don't have to use real names, but write it down because sometimes seeing it in words is the first step to saying it out loud. Okay, now let me tell you what happened after I walked away from that table. Inside the yard, something has shifted. I can feel it before I see it. Uncle Bill had turned back to the table before following me out. He stood there, hands in his pockets, and spoke to the group like he was giving testimony. "Ray, I've known that girl since the day she was born. I introduced her to the trade when she was 18. I've seen her tax returns." He doesn't flinch. She's telling the truth. Mr. Martinez, retired banker, 40 years in lending, leans forward. "Wait, 6 rental properties, free and clear in Franklin County." He pulls off his glasses and cleans them, which is what bankers do when they're recalculating someone. In this market, he says again, "That's serious equity." Mrs. Johnson adds, "She rewired my whole house, didn't cut a single corner, charged me fair, and finished early." She looks at Dad. "That girl's the real deal, Ray." I hear this from the edge of the driveway where Megan has followed me. The murmuring isn't hostile anymore. It's curious. People are doing the math, asking questions, looking at the whiteboard, and wondering if the scoreboard was wrong from the beginning. Dad is still by the grill, hands at his sides, beer untouched. He's watching the tide turn and he doesn't know how to stop it. It started as his show, the sharing round, the whiteboard, the mic. He built this stage and now he's standing on it while the audience rewrites the script. Derrick hasn't moved from his chair. His vest is unbuttoned now. His face is the color of flour. His phone sits face down on the table, and he hasn't touched it since Kelsey walked inside. Golden Boy is very still, and nobody's clapping for him anymore. The screen door opens. Kelsey steps out. Her sunglasses are off. Her mascara is smudged in the corners. She walks straight to Derrick, leans down, and speaks in a voice she probably thinks is a whisper. It isn't. The bank called. They're moving forward with the short sale. Derrick grabs her arm. "Not here, Kelsey." "Then when? You've been hiding this for 6 months. 3 people at the near end of the table hear every word. Mr. Martinez, Aunt Carol, Uncle Pete. Their faces do that thing faces do when they've just heard something they weren't supposed to. Careful blankness followed by slow, citied glances. Derrick stands, pulls Kelsey toward the house, but the damage is already traveling. I watch it move through the yard in real time. A whisper to Aunt Carol, who turns to the cousin next to her, who turns to Mrs. Johnson. "Short sale on the Austin house. I thought he just bought a boat. Isn't he a VP?" Mr. Martinez takes off. His glasses again. He's not cleaning them this time. He's just staring at the place where Derrick was sitting. Dad hears at last. He's the last to know, which is ironic because he spent the whole afternoon acting like he knew everything about his children. His face does something I've never seen. The confidence drains out of it like water through a cracked pipe. What's left is something raw and confused. A man realizing the trophy shelf he built is made of cardboard. VP of engineering. Mid-6 figure compensation, Tesla, boat, private school, and a house the bank is taking back. I don't say a word, I don't have to. The yard is doing the math without me. Some numbers tell the truth, others just tell a story. Megan sits down beside me on the curb by my truck. She's hugging her knees, chin on her forearms. "I should have said something years ago," she says. "You didn't, I know." She stares at the pavement. I was scared. Dad would have turned on me too. I don't argue with that. She's right. We sit in silence for a while. Inside the yard, the party is unraveling. Guests are starting to drift toward their cars, carrying plates of leftover barbecue and conversations they'll finish on the drive home. Faith. Megan's voice is quieter now. "I owe $380,000 in student loans." I turn and look at her. She's not kidding. Her eyes are steady, tired, and completely honest. "I won't break even until I'm 45, she says. Maybe 50. A surgeon published Cleveland Clinic Fellowship, and she's $380,000 in the hole. Derrick and I, she says, we look successful. That's the whole game. We look the part, but we're drowning. She pauses. "You're the only one of us who isn't." I sit with that. "There's something else," she says. "Dad borrowed $80,000 from Derrick 3 years ago when the house almost went into foreclosure. $80,000. Derrick took out a personal loan to cover it. Dad called it a family investment. Promised he'd pay it back." She looks at me. "He never paid back a dime. So that's why the house looks so good. New paint, new gutters, $80,000 of Derrick's debt hanging on those walls like a second mortgage. Mom knew," Megan says softly. "About your business, about what you were building. She told me once, Faith is going to be fine. She's the only one who doesn't need permission to start." I press my palm against the warm asphalt and breathe. Megan and I walk back into the yard together, not arm in arm, just side by side. It's enough. The crowd has thinned. 15 people, maybe. The cousins. Left first. Now it's the core. The neighbors, the aunts. The uncles, the people who have watched this family for decades and always suspected the story was thinner than it looked. Mr. Martinez is standing near the dessert table. He sees me and walks over, no hesitation. Faith, I spent 30 years in commercial lending. I've seen portfolios from people twice your age that don't look half as strong. He puts his hand on my shoulder. 6 properties, no debt in this market. You should be very proud. Mrs. Johnson comes up behind him and she's honest. Never overcharged me once. Showed up when she said she would. She takes my hand. Your mama raised you right, honey. I nod because I don't trust my voice right now. Dad is sitting alone at the head of the table. Donna is moving around him, stacking plates, folding tablecloths. He doesn't help. He just sits, hands flat on the table, staring at the whiteboard. Life wins round. The irony is so thick you could spread it on bread. Donna passes by me on her way to the kitchen. She stops, looks at me with something I've never seen from her. Not warmth exactly, but recognition, like she's seeing me for the first time. I didn't know Faith, she says quietly. He never told me any of it. How hard you've worked, what you've built. She shakes her head. I'm sorry. She goes inside. I look at the yard, half-empty paper plates in the trash, streamers curling in the evening breeze. My phone buzzes. It's Grace. Quarterly update finalized. Also, congrats on the 7th property. Closing next week. 7th. And nobody at this table knew about any of them. I pocket the phone and walk to the table. Dad is still sitting there. The mic is on the table next to his plate. The whiteboard is behind him. The yard is emptying out and the man who set the stage is the last one on it. Dad. He doesn't look up. I'm going to say this once. He raises his head. His eyes are bloodshot. He looks 10 years older than he did 3 hours ago. I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came here because Mom asked me to. But I'm not coming back to a table where my success is treated like a problem and my brother's is treated like a parade. He opens his mouth. Let me finish. He closes it. If you want me in this family, you treat me the way you treat Derek. Same respect, same pride. Every holiday, every barbecue, every phone call, or I'm done. My voice is steady. This isn't anger. This is a boundary. Clean, measured, non-negotiable. I don't need your money. I don't need your approval, but I would like my father back. The one who taught me to use a screwdriver when I was 6. The one who carried me on his shoulders at the county fair. That man was kind. That man would not have done this. Dad's chin trembles just once. Then he locks it down. I pick up my keys from the table. I love you, but love doesn't mean I sit here and shrink so you feel right about the story you tell people. I turn toward the driveway. Behind me, I hear him say, barely above a breath, Faith. I stop. I don't turn around. I heard you, Dad. And I keep walking. Derek comes out of the house 5 minutes later. Kelsey is beside him, bag on her shoulder, sunglasses back on, even though the sun is setting. They don't stop at the table. They walk straight across the yard to the Tesla. Derek's tie is loosened. His sleeves are rolled. He looks like a man leaving a deposition, not a barbecue. Dad calls from the porch. Derek, wait. Derek stops, turns halfway. Don't, Dad, just don't. He looks across the yard and finds me standing by my truck. Our eyes meet. There's no fury in his face, no sneer, no VP smirk, just exhaustion. The kind that comes when the thing you've been holding up with both hands finally gets too heavy. You win, Faith. I shake my head. This was never a competition, Derek. He holds my gaze for 3 long seconds. Then something in his jaw loosens just slightly and he turns away. The Tesla pulls out of the driveway. No wave, no horn, just tail lights fatting down the 2-lane road. Dad stands on the porch and watches until the car disappears. I watch him. Watching for the first time. He doesn't look like the patriarch. He doesn't look like the judge, the referee, the man who controls the scoreboard. He looks like what he is. A 62-year-old retiree standing on a porch he almost lost in a house his son paid for, watching his family scatter in 3 different directions. He looks old. I almost feel something for him. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something closer to the ache you feel when you see a building that used to be beautiful and you realize nobody's maintained it in years. It didn't have to be this way, but it is. The last of the guests leave in slow waves. No one says goodbye loudly. They nod, they squeeze hands. A few of them stop by my truck on the way out. Mr. Martinez pulls a card from his wallet. You ever need a reference for commercial lending? You call me. I mean that. I take the card. Thank you. Mrs. Johnson wraps me in a hug, a real one. The kind that presses your cheek against someone's shoulder. Your mama raised you right, honey. Don't you ever forget that. Uncle Bill finds me leaning against the tailgate. He puts his hand on my shoulder and leaves it there. You kept your promise, he says. You showed up. You told the truth. Linda would have been proud. I nod. My throat is tight. Megan walks over last. She holds me longer than anyone. When she pulls back, her mascara is a mess. Can I call you next week? She asks. I mean it this time. Yeah, call me. She squeezes my hand and walks to her car. The yard is nearly empty now. Donna is folding the last tablecloth. Dad is sitting at the head of the table with a paper plate he hasn't touched. The whiteboard is still standing behind him. The words life wins round, fatting in the twilight like a bad punchline no one laughed at. I get in my truck, turn the key. The engine coughs once and catches. Same as always. Before I pull out, I look at the house one more time. White siding, porch light on the window where my bedroom used to be. This is the house where I learned to ride a bike, where Mom taught me to bake, where Dad used to carry me on his shoulders. I pull onto the road and don't look back. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. The week after the reunion plays out like dominoes falling in a house nobody knew was made of them. Derek and Kelsey's Austin house goes through the short sale. Final price, $187,000 under what they paid. Derek's equity vanishes overnight. He and Kelsey move into a 2-bedroom apartment in Round Rock while they figure out what comes next. At work, Derek gets restructured. VP becomes senior director. Same office, smaller title, smaller bonus. His LinkedIn still says VP, but the people who matter know. Back in the small town, the reunion becomes the only thing anyone talks about. The Thompsons, the electrician daughter, the VP who's losing his house, the father who set up a scoreboard and got outscored by the kid he counted out. I hear it secondhand through Uncle Bill, through Mrs. Johnson, through a client who brings it up during an attic rewire. You're that Thompson girl, aren't you? The one who, yeah, I heard about that. 3 new contracts come in that week. Word of mouth from people who were at the reunion or heard the story from someone who was. Megan calls on a Wednesday night. We talk for 2 hours. It's the longest real conversation we've had in 5 years. She cries, I don't, but it's close. Can you introduce me to your accountant? She asks. Grace, right? I need a plan, a real one, I'll set it up. Thank you, Faith, don't thank me. Just show up, Dad. Doesn't call, doesn't text. 3 weeks of silence, thick and total like snowfall over a field. I don't chase it. I've spent 16 years chasing his approval and all it got me was a corner seat at his talent show. If he wants to talk, he knows my number. It hasn't changed in 12 years, 3 weeks and 2 days. That's how long the silence lasts. My phone rings on a Tuesday evening. I'm in the truck driving back from a job in Westerville. Dad's name on the screen. I answer on the 4th ring. Faith, his. Voice is different, smaller, like someone let the air out of it. I need to talk to you. I'm listening. A pause. The kind that happens when someone is rearranging sentences in their head trying to get it right. I didn't know about Derek's house, about Megan's loans. He exhales. I thought they were doing fine. I keep my eyes on the road. And I didn't know about you. I mean, I knew you worked hard, but I didn't think someone without a he trails off. Without a degree, I finish for him. Yeah. Another pause. I think that's what I believed. That a degree was the only way to make something of yourself because it was the thing I never got. For the first time, I hear it. The ache behind the armor. The kid from the factory town who never got to sit in a lecture hall, who told himself his children would, who couldn't process it when one of them chose a different road. It doesn't excuse it. But I hear it. Your mother told me, he says, and his voice cracks. Before she passed, she said, Rye, Faith is going to surprise you one day, don't miss it. He breathes. I missed it, I missed all of it. I want to say it's okay, but it isn't, not yet. I appreciate you calling, Dad, but words don't fix 16 years. We need time. He's quiet for a long moment. Okay, he says, that's fair. I hang up at the next red light and sit there until it turns green twice. 2 months after the reunion, I open my laptop and find an email from Derek. No subject line, just text. I read it standing up at my kitchen. Counter, coffee going cold in my hand. Faith, I know I've been terrible to you for years. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I was jealous. I was jealous because you did it your way and it worked. And I did everything they told me to do and I'm drowning. I read it again, then a 3rd time. Jealous. My brother, the VP, the Stanford grad, the one Dad introduced first at every party, was jealous of the sister who fixes light switches. He continues, I spent 15 years trying to be the son Dad. Wanted, the title, the house, the car. None of it was for me. It was for him, for the scoreboard. And now I'm sitting in a 2-bedroom apartment with my marriage falling apart. And the only sibling who has her life together is the one I treated the worst. I close the laptop, walk to the window, look at the yard I mowed myself last weekend next to the garage I converted into an office. I don't respond that day or the next. On the third morning, I sit down and type. Derek, thank you for being honest. I'm not ready to have a relationship with you yet, but I don't hate you. When you're ready to talk, really talk, I'll be here. Send. I set the laptop aside, pull on my boots, head to the job site. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzes. One line, thank you, 2 words. The first honest ones Derek said to me in maybe 15 years. It's not much, but it's real. And right now, real is enough. 6 months pass. I close on property number 8 in October, a duplex in Reynoldsburg that needs a new panel and a full kitchen gut, my kind of project. I hire a 5th employee, a 22-year-old kid named Marco, who reminds me of myself at that age. Quiet, fast hands, shows up 15 minutes early every day. Megan calls every Sunday. We talk about her residency, her debt plan, her terrible landlord in Cleveland. Grace set her up with the 12-year payoff schedule, aggressive but doable. And Megan's already 2 months ahead. I sold the Audi, she tells me one night. Leased a Civic. How's it feel? Lighter. Derek and I don't talk on the phone, not yet. But on Christmas Eve, a card arrives in my mailbox, handwritten. His writing is small and careful, nothing like the big gestures he's used to making. Thinking of you, sis, Derek. No title after his name, no flex, just 5 words and a signature. I put it on my fridge. And then there's Dad. He calls in November, asks if I want to get dinner, just us. No Derek, no Megan, no Donna, no audience. Where, I ask? That diner off Route 40. The one your mom liked. I almost say no. Then I hear Mom in my head, clear as daylight. Don't let this family fall apart. Saturday at 6, I tell him. Saturday at 6. I hang up and stare at the phone for a while. Then I open my closet, look at the row of work boots lined up on the floor, and choose the clean ones. Not for him, not to impress anyone, because I'm walking into that diner as exactly who I am. And for the first time, that's going to be enough. The diner is the kind of place that hasn't changed its menu since 1987. Vinyl booths, a pie case by the register, coffee that tastes like it's been on the burner since Wednesday. Dad's already in a booth when I arrive. He stands when he sees me. Doesn't hug me, but he pulls out the seat across from him. And for once, it doesn't feel like a trap. You look good, Faith. Thanks, Dad. We order. He gets the meatloaf. I get the turkey melt. We don't talk about the reunion, not directly. He starts with something I don't expect. Tell me about these rental properties, so I do. I tell him about the first one, a foreclosure in Whitehall I bought. At 28 for $62,000 cash. I rewired the whole thing myself, replaced the plumbing with Bill's help. First tenant moved in 3 weeks later. Rent $0 a month. He listens, really listens. No interruptions, no comparisons, no Derek would have done it differently. When I finish, he sets his fork down. Your mother was right about you. She was right about a lot of things. He nods, looks at his plate. I can't fix what I did, Faith. I know that. No, you can't. But can I try to be different? I look at him across the table. This man who hurt me for 16 years. This man who built a scoreboard and put me at the bottom. This man who is also the same man who taught me to hold a screwdriver, who drove me to my first day of school, who stood in the rain at my mom's funeral and didn't let go of my hand. You can try, but Dad, if you go back to comparing us, I will walk away and I won't come back. He nods slowly. Fair. In the parking lot, he looks at my truck, doesn't say a word about it. Drive safe, kid. You too, Dad. I take the long way home. 2 hours of dark highway, windows cracked, the kind of quiet that only exists between small Ohio towns after 900 p.m. I think about the last year. I spent 16 years believing that if I just worked hard enough, they'd eventually see me. They didn't. Not because I wasn't visible, because the story they'd written about me was more comfortable than the truth. My dad needed a failure in the family to justify his worldview. My brother needed someone to look down on to feel tall, and I let them. For 16 years, I let them cast me in a role I never auditioned for. The moment I stopped asking for their approval was the moment I started building something real. I'm not rich because I'm smarter than Derek or Megan. I'm financially stable because I lived within my means, invested in things I understood with my own hands, and never once spent money trying to impress people who didn't respect me. The fancy car, the big title, the boat, the private school, those things cost money, but they also cost something harder to calculate, the freedom to say no. Derek couldn't say no to Dad, couldn't say no to the lifestyle, couldn't say no to the scoreboard. And now he's sitting in a 2-bedroom apartment starting over at 37. I pull into my driveway, kill the engine, sit there. My house is small, 2 bedrooms. I gutted and rebuilt the kitchen myself. The porch light is on a timer I wired last spring. It's not a mansion. It's not a Tesla. Nobody's going to put it on a whiteboard, but it's mine. Every nail, every wire, every dollar that paid for it, mine. If you're hearing this and you're the one your family underestimates, I won't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you what I know. The opinions of people who don't respect you are not worth rearranging your life for. This is mine. I built it. That's enough. It's been a year since that reunion. Here's where things stand. Megan and I talk every week. She's my person now. She's halfway through her payoff plan and just moved into a smaller apartment she actually likes. Last month, she texted me a photo of a shelf she built herself. Crooked but solid. Runs in the family, she wrote. Derek and I are civil. He started therapy in the fall. Kelsey filed for divorce, but that's his story to tell, not mine. He moved back to Ohio, got a quieter job at a smaller company. Last time I saw him, he was wearing jeans and sneakers. No vest, no Tesla, no performance. He looked tired, but he looked honest. And honest suits him better than VP ever did. Dad and I see each other once a month. It's not perfect. Some dinners are good, some are stiff. He still catches himself mid-sentence sometimes. About to compare, about to rank, about to score. But he stops. He's learning. Last week, he introduced me to his golf buddy. This is my daughter, Faith. She runs her own contracting company. No qualifier, no but, no footnote. The whiteboard, he threw it away. And me, I just closed on. Property number 9. Marco got his journeyman license last month and I bought him a steak dinner to celebrate. Grace says my portfolio is ahead of schedule. Uncle Bill says I'm working too hard, which is his way of saying he's proud. My name is Faith Thompson. I'm 35 now. I don't have a degree, I have something better. I have my own definition of success, and nobody gets to write my story but me. If this story reminded you of someone in your life, maybe it's you. Maybe it's a sister, friend, or a daughter. Share this video with them. Sometimes knowing someone else walked this road is the push we need. If you want more stories like this, check the description below. I've linked a few I think you'll love. And if you want to keep this community going, subscribe and hit the bell. I read every single comment and some of your stories. They're better than mine. I mean that. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.